What's up, everybody? So, the Lions model's out. Didn't really do any uh, thing about it in terms of some thought rambling, some initial impressions, because every time I was getting ready to do that, they kept introducing more stuff, and I kept having to reevaluating what I want to talk about. Well, he's out, the rules are out, everything's out for him. So, why not just discuss my thoughts? It's not quite model breakdown, but I'll put it in the model breakdown playlist, I guess, for the Lion of the Dark Angels in 40K. So this is a very cool model. The only other Lion model we have, official is uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Forge World's Horus Heresy one. I don't know why I was blanking on that, but yeah, this guy looks great. I really liked it when I first saw the reveal. I appreciate that the armor is different from the Horus Heresy version. Uh, as much as I like the Horus Heresy version of this Primarch and any of the Primarchs, really, it's just going to be good practice to have him be different enough to warrant a whole new model and investment of time and energy and everything that way into making this new model. So I think they did a good job with them. The posing is very, movie-esque with the wind blowing in just the right direction as he marches forward. 10 to 2 by 2 washes in the dark, 4 head options, all of them look good. Just all in all, this model they did a very good job with. What I like about this guy is that he is suitably ornate for being a Primarch and a Primarch of the Dark Angels, right? Meaning he's not bejeweled in gold and gems everywhere, right? He's not Sanguinis, he's not Guilliman, he's the Lion. A taciturn, pragmatic Primarch, he's got just enough bling going on to make you realize he's something special, and still fit in with the whole motif of the Dark Angels. As far as the details on the model go, they're very crisp, clean details. I like that we have the Raven Wing symbol on his holster and the Death Wing, or the symbol associated with the Death Wing, the red broken winged sword, on his right arm. We have his personal iconography, or you could say symbolism going on in the form of a lion's head. And he's got the Dark Angels iconography going on as well, because, well, Dark Angels Primarch. So he looks really good. I just think that the posing and the capability of GW's plastic models are so good these days. Back in the day, something like this, if it was pewter or plastic or resin, if it was done back in the day, you would have the robes and cloak be kind of thick, really thick, to kind of make up for the fact that they're trying to get detail out of it. It would be more so you did detail on the outside, but the inside is kind of a thick, not mess, but it's just thick to support everything. But Forge World also is doing really good with their more intricate details and not having it just be thick chunks of resin on the inside. GW, same deal with their plastic sprues. The detail is really nice. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you can't really deny that they did a good job with the intricacies of the detail on this guy and with models in general nowadays. So he looks really good. I like the Watchers in the Dark. I like that there's 2 of them. I don't know why I like that. I just do. It's a lot more. It just feels like he's way more important because we got 2 of these guys in different color robes than we typically see them in, or traditionally painted up anyway, tending to this Primarch. I appreciate they painted him up in black armor, right? It's not jet black. It is definitely black, though, highlighted in like a very light greenish gray highlight as opposed to just a gray highlight or whatever else. And when you see the green robes, you definitely see that, yes, his armor is black in comparison for sure. I really appreciate that. It's a nice harkening back to the original Legion's coloration. And even if they did show him in all green, he would look great. In fact, they've shown just in an article different paint jobs on the Lion, and they all look good. So I can't really fault the coloration, right? And while it's not a product of the model's details or sprue bits or anything like that. Just the fact that they decided to keep him in the black armor, despite it being completely different armor from what we see in the Horus Heresy time period, I think is very nice. I would like to have seen, and this is me reaching here, maybe some form of the Hexagrammaton six wing, the 6-pointed star, the Hexagrammaton of the 6 wings, represented somehow either with the actual 6-pointed star of the Hexagrammaton or some other symbol associated with one of the other wings that would just seem like an archaic symbol on the model for the uninitiated. That would be cool. You could argue maybe the cross swords of that, but they're cross swords, so it's not that crazy of a concept. But in general, I'm just stating that it would be really cool to tie in more of the Legion time period on Primarch models. But that's reaching, right? There's no need for it. The model looks fantastic. You can tell it's a Primarch by the importance of the stature and of the stance and, of course, the size. And the detail is top-notch in this guy. I just, love the Hexagrammaton as a concept. So, anyways, the Lion is wielding the Emperor's shield, and the shield looks suitably ornate, suitably Emperor-centric in terms of its design and coloration and everything, and I appreciate that. I like that it's not just done up in coloration that would fit the Lion better. Not that it doesn't fit. It does fit. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, but it's clearly not of the Lion's Penelope of War, typically. It's very much his father's. And I appreciate that, because they could have easily call it the Lion, call it the Emperor's shield, and have it in coloration very similar to the Lion's armor and everything else. And it would look good either way, but I just appreciate that when you look at this, knowing what if you know of the Horus Heresy and what the Emperor's equipment look like, it very much reflects that, and that's really cool. So, having said that, this is not the shield that the Emperor has on the chest plate of his armor. That's like a heraldic shield. The Emperor would have to be absolutely gigantic for something this size to be on his chest, considering the Emperor and Horus, and therefore other Primarchs, stand basically as close to shoulder to shoulder as possible. The Emperor maybe a head height bigger, maybe, but not big enough to warrant wearing a full-blown shield like this as a chest ornamentation. So no, it's not that. As a little aside there. Anyways, when it comes to building and paying this guy, I did look at his sprue, and it's very busy. You're definitely going to need instructions on building this guy. Typically, for a single model, things like this, even though I know there are Watchers in the Dark, my point is this whole kit is built around, the Lion's actual kit is just built around building the Lion. It is very much multi-part. And looking through the bits on the sprue, it looks like the Iron Halo is not really going to be compatible with the Winged helmet, given the way the wings come out and the way the Iron Halo kind of sits back there. So I would like to magnetize the heads on this guy, but to do that, I might need to do some interesting magnetic work for the Iron Halo too, maybe. That would involve some dry fitting to be sure, to see if they could play nice together. My guess is no, given the fact that we just don't see it showcased with an Iron Halo when he's got the winged helmet on. Probably because it won't fit. So that'll take a little bit of figuring out. But aside from that little concept, the rest of it is just going to be a case of actually following the instructions and dry fitting everything. The reason why we have kind of oddball pieces of cloth or oddball pieces of armor that you might wonder, why is this not part of the model already? Why do I have to glue it on? Well, GW has gotten rather efficient and effective at hiding mold lines. And to do that involves breaking the model up in some non-straightforward ways. You see this on Primaris HQs, you see this on the Interrogator Chaplain of the Dark Angels, and other models as well, including squads. And this is done because when it clamshells together in that way, or when the bits come together like they're meant to, being apart like this, it hides the seam more or less. So it's a clever way to do it, but it does mean that when you're looking at the sprue, you go, wow, that's a lot of random pieces to build this guy. And definitely warrants looking at the instructions to be sure. I would build this guy to a certain level and then stop, paint, continue building. I wouldn't exactly call it a sub-assemblies because I don't really know, having not built this guy and not owning this model yet because it's out of stock online and I haven't been to a local game store to see if they have any. I would probably build up as much I can of the torso, but more than likely leave the backpack as best I can off, leave the shield off, and probably paint it that way, just to really get to all the nooks and crannies in this high detail model. But as always, as you're building, fit pieces together to see how it would look before you start putting glue. The nice thing is, though, once you do glue it, you can use plastic glue in this guy, and plastic glue is going to have a very strong hold. Painting, I would, aside from the potential sub-assembly-esque painting, I would definitely get all the ornate stuff out of the way first, because I find myself having a much easier time neatening up black armor, in this case, carefully, and doing the black armor details after ornate stuff is done. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but when it comes to doing golds and light colors, for whatever reason, the paint could be appropriately thin. It's not too thin, not too thick, but just right so it shouldn't run or do anything. And I can have just a little bit on the paintbrush, just the right amount and everything else, and I'll still get it outside the lines. It's just, I don't know. So rather get the basics of the armor, the black armor down, then do all the ornate stuff fully, go back and neaten up and continue. That is a real nice benefit of it being black armor for the most part. Just gotta be careful with those robes, that's for sure. In any case, he's been out for a little bit now, so I'm sure plenty of you have already seen this guy, looked into it yourself. Maybe you own him. If you built this model, share how the building process went for you, because it does look a little bit intimidating just looking at the sprues, because again, like I mentioned, GW has gotten rather adept at hiding mold lines and seams by having this non-straightforward way of building models like this. So definitely read those instructions. In any case, I really like this guy. Really glad he's out. I know there's a bit of a murmurings on the web because out of stock online for this thing, that makes no sense. How is it going to be in local store support and so on? That is a little bit weird, but hopefully at some point he'll be in stock enough where I could get a purchase going at some point in the future. So anyways, share your thoughts on the Lion for 40K. I haven't seen any pictures yet, but if you know of any, let me know of this model next to the 30K equivalent, just to see truly how the scale is between the two. I have to imagine it's very similar because it's the same model or the same character, but I don't know what it is. The 40K Primarch models just seem, maybe it's the way they're photographed or whatever, but they just seem larger in scale than the 30K equivalents, but chances are they're probably not. Alrighty, so with that said, Abaddon probably is, but that's because they made them big in 40K. So, tangent aside, thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. If you have this model, how do you like it? And what are your thoughts in general if you don't? Anyways, until next time, take it easy.